Inspired by the versatility of gravel bikes, the CRAFT XPLOR is designed to provide the same hybrid capabilities, feeling like a road shoe on the pavement and a trail shoe on dirt. With an upper designed for maximum breathability and a midsole featuring PX foam designed to provide comfort over any surface, and an outsole designed to provide unmatched traction on pretty much any surface. Now, CRAFT touts the XPLOR as really the perfect hybrid shoe, but how did it actually stack up in my testing, and is this the hybrid shoe for you? Let's take a look. And I'm getting dirt all over my desk because they are dirty. Anyway, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Steven. I do want to let you know that CRAFT did send the XPLOR to me to review. They're not going to see this footage ahead of time. They're not going to proof it. They're not paying me for it. I'm going to share my honest opinion just like always. Oh, one last final disclaimer. If you've been following my channel really for the last several months, you know I am injured, unfortunately, and I cannot run. I haven't run in over a month, but I did get to run a few times previously in the CRAFT XPLOR, so I have some thoughts. And generally, after reviewing shoes on YouTube now for over 3 years, I can tell pretty quickly whether or not I'm gonna like a shoe. So with that out of the way, let's get to the stats of the CRAFT XPLOR. First off, like I said, it is a hybrid shoe. So it's designed for pavement and for trail surfaces. There is a little bit of flexibility this way and a little bit this way as well. So it has some agility to it. As for the stack height of the XPLOR, there's quite a lot of it. The rear comes in at 38.5 millimeters and the front at 32.5 millimeters for a 6 millimeter drop. And for the weight, my men's size 11 weighed in at 11.4 ounces or 323 grams. Now this is definitely a bit of a heavier weight for a hybrid shoe. However, to be honest, it did not feel heavy underfoot when running. More on that in just a bit. And just for reference, that is about the same weight as the Speedland GS Pisgah shoes, really about the same weight without the carbon plate in the Speedlands. And for the fit, well, they are CRAFT shoes. And after reviewing a few pairs of them now, I feel pretty safe in saying that CRAFT is probably made for somebody with a more voluminous foot, more volume in your feet than I have. As for the length though, it's really about normal for CRAFT sizing, maybe just a little bit, like a tad bit more in the length compared to say a Hoka or a Salomon shoe. Hey, real quick before we get to the rest of the details, scroll down, click that thumbs up button, give the video a like. It actually really does help out a lot. I would really appreciate that. Maybe click subscribe as well. And if you are considering purchasing the XPLOR, use the link below in the description. Also, it does help support the channel. It's not going to cost you anything extra. Moving right along to the upper of the CRAFT XPLOR. And honestly, it's probably the weakest point of the shoe in my opinion. It's made of an engineered mesh material with 36% recycled polyester, and it is designed to be breathable, and well, it is. Take a look at the tissue test. You can see even on low, that tissue went up very quickly, stayed up, and then when I switched the hair dryer to high, that tissue just shot up, stayed up, really showing this is a very breathable shoe. And when running, I felt it. I could definitely feel the airflow coming through the shoe, and I ran in some cooler temperatures, so I had to really choose my socks wisely. Now let's talk more about that fit that we mentioned. First, in the toe box here, it's a little bit wider than say a Hoka shoe, so plenty wide if you have a average size forefoot where your toes might splay out a little bit. I mean, it's not an ultra, but it's definitely wider than a Hoka or a Salomon. Moving up to the midfoot of the shoe as well. Again, for me, no issues with pinching, hot spots, rubbing, plenty of room in the shoe. And honestly, they're really a bit too wide for me. I mean, you can see how close the laces are cinched right here. And I've loosened it at the top to get this piece in here, but yeah, you can see the upper material is almost touching in the center. So for me and my foot shape, the volume that I have, it's really just a little bit too big. The tongue of the XPLOR is pretty thin, but really there's enough padding to it to where the laces did not cause any discomfort over the top of my foot. The tongue is also gusseted on both sides. It's not gonna be moving around, it stays put, no issues there. The laces are the lay flat variety, and they did exactly that. They stayed tied, they laid flat, didn't come undone. I had no issues at all with the lacing system. Moving to the rear of the shoe and the heel collar here, there's really not a lot to it. It's, yeah, there's a little padding to it, don't get me wrong. It's not uncomfortable, it's just not overly plush. I wouldn't even call it plush at all, but that padding is very dense and there's really not much in the way of support. And as for that heel counter, you can see at the top it does move a little bit, but then down lower it's very stiff. Didn't cause any issues for me and my Achilles though, really just fine there. My biggest concern or issue with this upper is really there's just too much of it for my specific foot shape. I mean, really, if you look at the shoe, there's no structure to this upper really whatsoever. On this lateral side, you got these couple dots here, the medial side, there's really no overlays. The only overlay really is to the back here around the heel collar. It does provide a little bit of support, and it left me feeling not secure when running. Gravel roads, easy, straight dirt trails, no problem, felt fine. Anytime there was some lateral movement on like a single track trail, something like that, it just did not feel confidence inspiring. I couldn't get a really good fit in that upper. It just did not fit my foot well. There's a lot to it. So if you have a wider foot, more volume, like I said at the outset, I think this might work for you. As for the midsole of the Explorer, this might be the highlight of the shoe. That ETPU beaded midsole foam is really nice. It's comfortable. There's response as well, and it just has plenty of protection for your foot. I mean, really, there's so much of that midsole that when you're running over gravel roads, you know, even without a rock plate in the shoe, it was perfectly fine. It felt no issues, no rocks poking up through that midsole into my foot. And this is designed to be on gravel, so it's meant for that, but it provided a great level of protection. But if you do want to run faster in this midsole, you certainly can. It was actually surprisingly responsive. It felt really good. I mean, honestly, it reminded me of that feel of the Speedlens. Again, that foam in there, it just has that same kind of response to it. You know, as long as you're gonna be running in straight lines, it felt great. But just like those Speedlens, this is a high stack, wide footprint. You can see the width of it. It is a wider shoe. Now, the wide footprint of the Explorer really makes this kind of run more like a fat tire bike. You know, since we call this a gravel inspired shoe, it runs more like a fat tire. It just feels very stable on the landing experience of your foot as it comes down, feels very stable. And really, whether you're running on pavement, gravel, it was just a nice experience. Overall, the midsole of the CRAFT XPLOR was surprising, but it was in a good way. I could definitely see myself logging lots of miles when I'm able to run on gravel or dirt roads with this. It felt very nice. Now, another highlight of the Explorer is this outsole. So CRAFT partnered with world-class bicycle tire manufacturer Vittoria for a gravel bike inspired outsole. And what we get from that collaboration with Vittoria in the Explorer is really just an awesome outsole. The midsole here of the Explorer is flatter and more road shoe-esque, if you will, to provide that comfort over those paved surfaces. But if you look at the outside edges, you can see there are some multi-directional lugs, which really just provide excellent traction on pretty much any surface. And it does leave a unique imprint as well if you're running on some dirt, just because it's a different outsole, but it works really well. Now, when using the Explorer as a hybrid shoe, as it's intended to be, I had no issues. It felt great on the pavement when I was running to the trail. On those dirt single track trails, felt plenty of traction, grip, it worked really well. And on gravel, again, no issues with discomfort from rocks. It's a really solid outsole. There's really not a lot else to say about it. So overall, I really like this outsole. It just works any surface. And another really cool thing that CRAFT did, you know, they imprinted on the side of the shoe here. You've got the stack height, the drop, the Vittoria outsole, just kind of cool. Well, right now the CRAFT XPLOR retails for $139.99. And honestly, I think that's a pretty darn good deal for this shoe and what you get. Well, the bottom line of the CRAFT XPLOR is this is really a great shoe for cruising mile after mile on gravel or dirt roads. Really what limits this shoe is the upper. It's just too sloppy for me and my foot shape to have any sort of confidence on single track trails. Now, this is the first version of the Explorer, so if CRAFT makes some revisions, fixes this upper a little bit, provides some more structure, stability to it, I think CRAFT could have a real winner of a shoe. Now, I do want to know what you think though. Have you tried the Explorer? It has been out for a few months now. Let us know below in the comments what you thought. Did it fit your foot well? Did you maybe think the upper was a little bit big like I did as well? Let us know what you think of that outsole also. Well, now, since I did talk about it a few times in this video, comparing this to it a couple of times, if you haven't already, take a look at the full review of the Speedlens GS Pisgahs on the screen over there on that side. Thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate you all. Thank you to CRAFT for sending these as well. I'll see you over there.